It's almost like how well you play football will determine on how well you can bake a cake. As I read the Bible, I'm amazed at how many things that we do today won't even be in the new heaven and new earth. For example, hard labor. Something that we do here because of the curse won't even exist in the new heaven and the new earth. Revelation 21:4 tells us that death, pain, and sorrow will be done away with in the new heaven and the new earth. But the way that we deal with people through their deaths, through their pain, and through their suffering, we're going to be held accountable for. The way that we handle changes in leadership, whether it be in our own company or whether it be in our government, we're going to be held accountable for that. But when we get to the new heaven and new earth, there is no change in leadership. God is going to be on the throne. Matthew 22:30 tells us that there is no marriage in heaven. However, the way that we deal with our marriages here on earth, we're going to be held accountable for. There's no shadows, there's no darkness. But what we do in the shadows and what we do in the darkness, everyone someday will know, because it will be revealed. It says that there will be no war. But the way that we handle families that have been displaced because of war or hurt because of war, or the way that we defend our families or our country, we're going to be held accountable. There will be no famine, there will be no plagues, there will be no diseases, but the way that we help out people that have diseases and the way that we help out people that are malnourished, we're going to be held accountable for. I think it's really strange that we're living in this world where there's disease, war, famine, death, sorrow, pain, suffering, all of these things, and yet in the new heaven and the new earth, there isn't any. Yet the way that we deal with all these things that aren't ever going to exist again is how we're judged. It's how we're held accountable. It's almost like how well you play football will determine on how well you can bake a cake. I think God wants to know if we really love Him or if we just love the things that He gives us. I think God wants to know, do we just stick with Him because it's nice and easy, or do we stick with Him because we want Him? God wants to see if we're becoming more conformed to His image than being conformed to this world. You see, when we see somebody in suffering, do we just turn away or do we help? When we see somebody in need that's less fortunate to us, do we actually go to help them, or do we just get on with our own business? Are we willing to make friends with enemies? Because God made friends with us. And there's nothing that God is asking us to do that He Himself isn't willing to do. And that's why this world is so perfect. It's testing us. It's pulling us apart. It's testing our tensile strength as the world pulls in one way and God in another. And in this gridiron game of life, if we endure, we get to eat cake in the banquet hall of heaven.